You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. The families of Martin Luther King Jr. and Jackie Robinson demanded that Donald Trump's reelection campaign remove images of the late black icons from their new political ads. The ad is titled "Say What You Will About America." The video includes pictures of both King and Robinson. Bernice King, the daughter of Dr. King, took to Twitter and called the use of her father's image beyond insulting and not reflective of who Dr. King was. Jackie Robinson's daughter, Sharon Robinson, also tweeted that the Trump campaign does not line up. This is what she said. Jackie Robinson's family strongly objects to the use of Jackie Robinson's image in the Donald Trump, the JR Foundation. The Trump campaign is in opposition to all that Jackie Robinson stood for and believed in. We're insulted and demand that his image be removed. Bottom line here, Michael, this is the Republicans always want to show black Republicans. They say King was a Republican, Jackie Robinson was a Republican. Here's what we do. We know for a fact that Jackie Robinson was a Republican. We don't know that with MLK. Folks said his dad was, but it's all irrelevant because the bottom line is this here. This is if you got to go back to the 1960s to find you a black Republican, your ass ain't doing it right.
Well, there have been a number of fact checks on this. Think Progress Org had one a few years ago that talked about how Dr. King was not a Republican. And I've looked at information that talked about how Dr. King talked about voting for Democrats as well. But if you got to go back that far to the 50s and 60s to find a black Republican that African Americans like, then your party has a problem. Now, I'm neither Democrat nor Republican. People who listen to my show know this, but I'm also not stupid. I know whose policies are doing us the most harm as well, and it's usually at the national level, usually coming from Republicans. But this is more of just like Trump came out with his platinum plan, which I call the fool's gold plan, his 2-page black agenda, okay, for African Americans, and it lacked specificity. It was ridiculous, and a lot of what he was proposing contradicts what he's been doing the past 3.5 years. This is some more of that. He's hoping to just shave off enough African Americans so that in these key battleground states, it can be very close, and he can try to win this in the Supreme Court. And just as you covered the story from Channel 4 out of the UK, and I covered it on my show, how in 2016, the Trump campaign identified 3.5 million African Americans, labeled them as deterrents, and then flooded them with disinformation on social media to discourage them from voting. Okay, so this is some more propaganda, but I'm happy that the King family and the Robinson family came out in opposition to this. But I wonder what Dr. King's niece Alveda King, who is a staunch Donald Trump supporter, I wonder what she had to say. Or I don't know, did he get permission from her to do this? Or
or how about Dr. Carter? How about loud and wrong Angela Stanton? Same thing. Anything she got to say? I doubt it.
Well, I mean, and we should, because, I mean, Angela Stanton has not done herself a good service, and they should retire her as a spokesman for this nonsense party. But I will say this. I mean, when people say and mobilize these images, acting like they don't talk about Colin Kaepernick and calling the movement for Black Lives Matter terrorist groups, it's laughable because we know very well if Jackie Robinson or Martin Luther King were alive today, they would say the same things about those men. So it's funny that they want to deploy them as some sort of testament to their openness when we know they have done everything they can to make Black people feel unwelcome through policy and otherwise. And certainly we know this is shading the truth because people act like partisan realignment never happened. The Republicans of today are not the Republicans of yesteryear. So acting like the Dixiecrat Revolution didn't happen in 48, acting like those people didn't get absorbed in the Republican Party and that the Southern strategy that the Republican Party deployed throughout the 1960s. And when Nixon said, we just going to leave the blacks and the Jews behind and let the Democrats have them, right? Because we're not going to pick those voters up. Don't act like that didn't happen. And I think it's this same disingenuousness that we often have. And I think it's because they know most people don't understand anything about history. But people do understand the reality of the world they live in. And if they think marshaling up some images of Martin Luther King or Jackie Robinson are going to be enough, I think they're mistaken. But Michael is correct that it can do just enough for the people on the margins. And that's the really scary part.
Rob was interesting here is that again, when you look at the games being played here, bottom line is you got different people who are weighing in, but you're using the images, and it's not like your policies line up with where they stand. See, that's the other thing as well, and that's what Bernice King was actually saying in her particular when she said that. The image should not be used because his ways strongly misalign with his visions and values. That's what she said. Go ahead, Rob.
Correct. And that's absolutely true. I will say this, like conservatives, particularly in the last 30 or 40 years, love to point to black exceptionalism as if, of course, everything's right in America. You know, Bill Cosby made it in 1940, like Jackie Robinson, like they made it in spite of the obstacles, not because of America. And so, that's important, too. I mean, the Republican Party, which is who we're talking about, and Dr. Carter already said the realignment, they try to act like we don't know history. A lot of people don't. This is why we need to have this show. But let me tell you, Reagan, when Martin Luther King Day came up, lots of Republicans were against it, including Reagan. And we know he said bad things about actually Dr. Martin Luther King and many other black people. But then he said specifically that he's not even sure if he was an American. He might have been a traitor. This country spied on Dr. Martin Luther King and did the same tactics Donald Trump is using now to go after protesters. They spied on Dr. Martin Luther King most of his entire time while he was trying to improve civil rights and make this nation better. The things that they are praising now, they hated him for. They don't stand for Black Lives Matter. They don't stand for equality. They want to find and use his words out of context to make themselves feel better about who they are and who America is. That's not who Dr. Martin Luther King was. They don't quote from Dr. King in 1968. They don't quote from Dr. King when he's really talking about how America needs to improve, how America is not living up to his ideals. And I can guarantee you this: if Dr. King was here with us today, he would be. He would be one of the main critics going after this president, going after his policies, and he would find him to be a moral failure. I have no doubt about it.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, the folks at Ceek.com, black-owned company founded by Mary Spio. They, of course, a virtual reality company. You can check out their content at Ceek.com, Ceek.com. You can do so, of course, with these VR headsets. You can look at it, of course, on your regular device or your pad or your computer. But if you want to experience being in the room, you can use this headset right here. All you simply do is just pop in your cell phone in here, pop it on, and then put this headset on, and you can literally experience their content in virtual reality. And so allows for you to do a 360-degree view of the room. But also, folks, they have the 360-degree 4D headphones right here. These are Bluetooth headphones. They have complete surround sound in terms of as you hear the particular music. Gamers love them as well when they're playing their games. And so it's just phenomenal bass in these headphones as well. You can get one or both devices at Ceek.com using this promo code RMVIP2020, RMVIP 2020. So we certainly thank the folks at Ceek.com for being a partner with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. All right.